Today's episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by Encircle's brand new feature, Floor Plan. With Floor Plan, restorers can actually get same-day floor plans right to their smartphone. It's super easy and literally takes 5 minutes to scan a loss. If you haven't seen it yet, check out getencircle.com/floorplan to get all the details. Hello there. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Today, I'm very excited to be talking about a new integration that was announced at the experience. We were hoping to talk about it from the experience floor, but trade shows end up busy and all of our booths just seemed busy. So we were talking about it on Zoom, which is just as good. So I am joined by Erin Hynum, who is from Phoenix Restoration Equipment, and Kris Rzesnoski from Encircle. We are talking about the integration between Drylink and Encircle and how that's going to kind of help restorers utilize their technology better, move forward, collect more data, be more efficient, a whole bunch of things. So gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Erin, I'm going to toss it over to you first and have you kind of introduce yourself, give people a little bit of background for people who don't know you or know about Phoenix.
Sure. I'm Erin Hynum. I've been with Phoenix for 10 years. I've been with Thermistor for 12. And, really, I started the idea of Drylink a few years back. I've been going around, speaking about it, but now it's come to fruition. We have the whole system. We're continuing to add on, but the idea of Drylink is job site data collection, remote monitoring, and asset tracking. And we have a drying report, but the data that is collected from our system can go wherever it needs to go. And that's what has led us to integrations such as Encircle that we're very excited about.
Okay, and Kris, talk a little bit about yourself and Encircle, which is a software company that really does a great job with integrations and working together with a number of different companies and platforms across the industry and being open.
Yeah, it's really core to what we're doing. My name is Kris Rzesnoski. I'm Vice President at Encircle, and we're the all-in-one field documentation system where you're able to do contents, water damage, and document your job. And then what we do, and working with partners like Phoenix, is bolting on those best-in-breed softwares that will help enhance that field documentation, the story that you're trying to tell an adjuster or a property manager or a property owner. And then what we're doing is we're focusing on making it easy, making it fast, and making it accurate, which when you take that into consideration, partners like Phoenix that are doing the data collection only enhances what we're doing because it serves our mission. We're integrating with companies like that. And so that's the interesting part of where we're going.
Okay, so what does this integration mean? What is this going to mean for restorers on a job site as Drylink integrates with Encircle? I don't know which one of you.
Erin, I'll kick it over to you to start. And then...
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so to start with, this integration is, phase one, and there's a future vision of what all it can do. But for now, what we're doing is we're saving the contractor the time of having to enter job-specific information into two systems. So if you like to use Drylink and do your data collection automatically, maybe do remote monitoring, asset tracking, these kind of things, you don't want to have to enter your job information in two systems. So to start, that's step number one. We have discussed other parts of the integration that could come about, such as we could sync our inventory systems together. We could have data that flows into Hydro. There could be a lot of things that could come about. Plus, we want to listen to our early adopters and hear what they're asking for. But that's what it does for right now.
Yeah, and where we're looking at is really phase one was, get rid of the redundancy of data duplication and entering data twice. The next one will be getting rid of equipment inventory, so you'll be able to bring the equipment that you have in Phoenix, and it'll just shift right into Encircle. And then where it gets a little bit more complex is how do we start bringing in the data and moving it back between the Phoenix system and Encircle, and build a mechanics so that we can actually get the readings to fall right into the right parts of the rooms. So both of our nomenclature of how our software is built is very much aligned. And then we'll be able to put the data right in there, and you'll have data that's automatically coming from Phoenix equipment into Encircle, and then you have any data that you're collecting in the field, you're going to have that in Encircle as well, which then tells a complete story. That's just the next steps. But what you're dealing with is a year ago, we sat in the experience hall and a bunch of us had basically said, we're going to eliminate all the roadblocks that software typically has to stymie competition within the industry. We're going to open it up and basically make sure that if you've got a Delmhurst tool, a Phoenix tool, it'll come into Encircle. If you want to use it with Phoenix, you can use it with Phoenix. We're going to open up that ecosystem so that there's no artificial barriers for allowing a restorer to grab something off the shelf and then plug it into whatever system you're using and make it easy for the restorers to be able to do that, which you were able to do with pen and paper. We want to make sure that that's repeatable for the digital environment.
How easy?
Michelle,
Go ahead.
I was just going to add on to that and say that, Phoenix is taking the same approach there. And if you look at it, you don't have to use Phoenix equipment to use Drylink, right? I mean, we made it an open platform. We're actually open to integrate other hardware pieces as well. So we're trying to keep the whole platform open. We're excited about this integration, but I just wanted to mention that part too. And just one more thing to touch on, I hear a lot of people say, well, I'd really love, one app to do everything I do. And while that is good, there are so many things that have to happen. You could make one incredibly complex app. So we try and really look at what makes sense in one area and what makes sense in another area. That's why there's not one app on your phone. There are many, and for that reason, but we do try and consider from the restorer's point of view, what's the easiest way to make this happen.
The more complex things get, the less you're using actually of the functionality of it, right? So yeah, I totally hear that. So how easy is this integration to get set up for restorers? Is it as easy as a button? What does it take?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You really you go to Encircle and you get a specific number. I can't remember off the top of my head what Encircle calls that number, but it's a unique identifier. You put it into the Drylink web portal, and basically you're connecting the systems that way. It's quite simple.
And clarify a little bit for people the difference between like Encircle as a software piece and then what Drylink is and Drylink's purpose.
Well, in terms of Drylink, I can just tell you that, we focus on job site data collection, and then remote monitoring comes along with that. It's optional, but it's a really powerful feature that people are just beginning to adopt. But once they see the power, it's for sure the way of the future. We've got 100 times more data than pen and paper, where you're getting one or maybe two readings a day. And plus, when you have remote monitoring, imagine deploying your technicians based on real information in real time, instead of just sending them out there, send them where they need to go first. So that's kind of our position in the market.
Yeah, and Michelle, we're documenting a bunch of things in the field, from photos, videos, notes, floor plan. We got hydro as well, and inside that is telling a story. But what Phoenix is doing, which is really interesting, is that remote monitoring, all that data capture. We're not going to go and develop that in-house. We're going to partner with best in class, and Phoenix is crushing it. The information that we're able to pull from their equipment, their company, and their sensors, you just can't get that. And we couldn't develop that in-house. It's one, we don't have the expertise that they have. Two, that's not our specialty. So what we did is we built a platform for capturing readings, and we made sure that it was open, that when we have the equipment in there and you have the remote sensors, all that data is coming in to supplement the file. And the trend you're going to see is about data integrity, being able to validate impartial data, which is Phoenix's equipment has collected that data, which is impartial. They're not changed readings. All of a sudden, that puts more credibility into that file. It makes it easier to defend. That's the future of where you're going to be in situations, and people are going to be looking at, how is your data entered? Is it entered in one day at the end of the job, or is it entered as the job's progressing and you're making actual real decisions based on what's happening in the field? And as Erin said, you can't do that with pen and paper. You're getting one data point, maybe two in a day. Whereas here you're getting hundreds, they're repeating in, and then you can put in alerts to trigger off when there's a problem, you need to address it so you don't create some secondary issues.
Okay.
Yeah, and we actually had restorers come back and tell us, hey, I'm not getting haircuts on my invoices now, or hey, I'm getting paid faster. So those are real benefits. And to Chris's point, we're not going to develop what Encircle does. I mean, they already do it and they do it well. So we're not doing floor planning, we're not doing contents, we're not doing photos, we're not doing any of that. We're not planning on doing that. We would rather integrate with people that are best in class already doing that. So that's what we're doing here.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So you kind of actually just touched on my next question about why data is so important from job sites. Like, how can having this kind of data help restorers in their conversations with adjusters, getting paid faster, all of that? Why is this like documentation and data point so important?
You have to understand how insurance companies are built, right? They're built basically, it's accountant, lawyers, and the adjusters represent the policy. So when they're looking at a file, they're trying to validate that the work that was done, one, fits the policy. That's what the adjuster's role is. Two, that the work actually needs to happen and that there's some kind of savings, whether it's that they can use restorative drying or other processes to save money, or whatever the rebuild is actually what it should cost to do. That data that you're now getting from the restoration, whether it be vendors or tech companies, that's helping to support the restorer's file, saying, here's what we did, here's what we needed to do, and then here's the resulting information that's now supporting. It's great, except for in the past, it's been manually entered. And so the integrity of that is questionable. And that's where insurance companies go, well, one company charged me 20% less or 40% less than you did. How come your bill is so much higher or appears to be so much higher? Having that third-party data will start to support what you're doing. And then following that with what Phoenix is doing and others, you're able to educate the customer on how this is benefiting them. And that should reduce the friction between the two parties.
Yeah. Why is it so important that restorers have a choice in the equipment, the software, the platforms, all of those things that they're using? You both kind of did touch on this at the beginning as well, saying how you work with other companies. But why is that so important?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at it, there's a lot going on in a restoration job, and there's a lot of tools, software. I mean, there's so much going on that one company trying to build everything from the equipment to the technology to the software and reporting, it's a big task. And so, just like there isn't one dehumidifier in the market, there are choices, and that's, I think, for the best. And it really gets, when there is choice, it fosters competition and people really innovate. And that is important. So while I'd like to say, yeah, 100% of the market would be great if you use Drylink, I'm sure that other people are going to be innovating and pushing, and that's healthy for the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've also got the other side of when you start to look at how much pressure the restorer is under to execute in their market. Now, a restoration company could be composed of different types of work. So one could be heavily rebuild oriented and need systems that can deliver to that. Others are heavily mitigation oriented and need systems that are going to deliver into that means. And what you're doing is you're taking the pieces that you need to run your business, and not everyone's going to run the business the same way, right? You have restorers that are more focused on profitability and their financials and running it based on the numbers. You got others that are based on running it by the type of work that they're doing. Depending on the system that you choose to run, you're going to find different efficiencies within your business. So you have to give the restorer the option to have a management tool that they want to run their business with. And then how do they want to run the field? They get options in those field tools. We don't want to take that away from them. And the last thing you want to do is hinder somebody's ability to buy a tool off the shelf. Then they come to find that they can't use it in your system. And we want to eliminate that, because there's some really good tools out there that are specific for certain needs. Those tools should be able to fit into your software, and you shouldn't have an artificial barrier. And we know that there's no physical barriers. It's just coding. And so we can eliminate that. And early now that more companies are trying to integrate, Encircle took the lead with Phoenix and a few others, Delmhurst, Tramex, Fleer, and basically said, we're going to eliminate any of those barriers to prevent the restorer from getting locked in. And at the end of the day, I think the rest of the industry's following.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. My next question is kind of a two-parter. So part one, where does this go from here? Is this integration it, or do you have more plans to cohesively work together?
Yeah, and I think we kind of spoke to that a little bit at the beginning, but yeah, I think that we definitely have ideas of things that we see that we believe bring value to the restorers between Encircle and Drylink. But we also want to listen and hear what the early adopters of the integration are saying. They may ask for things that we weren't even thinking about, but anywhere we can add value, anywhere we can reduce work for the contractor, I think that we'll collectively discuss it and try and implement that as as time allows here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because usually when users start applying in the field, they find ways that you can enhance that use even more. But right out of the gate, at least on our roadmap, is we've got the data reduction already started. Getting rid of, it's tedious to do inventory of equipment. So Phoenix, if you capture it with their system, we'll bring it into ours, and so we're working on that. We have that gateway now open, but now we just got to work on coding it both ways for both companies. Then is getting the data and the infrastructure in, so that because WARDAM is really tough. The way a structure is built is really tough, and we're very fortunate. Phoenix and ourselves have aligned on the same nomenclature, which means that we shouldn't have any data transfer issues. But that's a big part of paving this way. Is this hasn't been done. These types of integrations just haven't been done. So now we're able to get that information in, and then it's how do you enhance it, where you can start running equipment calculations, and you know what you've got on the truck, and you know what you have back at the office. There's a whole bunch of complexity that goes into it in the next steps. So we'll be needing the contractors to give us some feedback as we work towards that.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to touch on the inventory piece, what's kind of nice about the inventory piece is with our Bluetooth equipment, we already know it's already in our cloud. So you just go into the app and you just say, yes, this is mine, and it populates all the stuff like serial number, make, model, all the things that you would type in. So if somebody buys 500 air movers, you can imagine that's tedious no matter what software you're entering into. Yeah. So if we can capture it quickly and then transfer it into another system and sync them up, it just reduces all that time of entering all that information.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. So part two of my question, I want to separate out the companies a little bit, because I know that Phoenix and Encircle are always innovating, moving forward, working well with the industry, highly involved in the industry. Both companies are. So I want you both to talk a little bit about what both your companies are up to. So Kris, I'm going to start with you. Talk maybe a little bit about Floor Plan and what else Encircle's been up to recently.
Yeah. So big announcement. So we got Floor Plan that we unveiled at the experience, and essentially you're able to walk an entire job site just using your phone, and you'll be able to capture a floor plan within a matter of minutes on a job site, and then we'll get you the rendering within a number of hours. So within the same day, you'll have that data, and it's fast. Like you're in the field, you can document 2,000 square feet in under 7 minutes. I think we've done it in less than 5. You're out walking the environment. You're just using your phone. So anytime you move something, it will tell you that you're too high or too low. So you get good floor plans every time. And then it's accurate. It's going to be over 95% accuracy with just a phone, and over 97 with LiDAR. That's really new. That's a big push for us. And then, integrating that into hydro, so that you don't have to do all the calculations by hand. A bunch of it will be automated for you. That's really our big stuff coming out in the fall, and really exciting, because we've got, not only do we have that, we have all the hydros getting a bunch of revamps to it to make it more efficient. So if you're on a small job and you don't want to do all the work, you'll be able to start picking and choosing what you want inside of there, making it super simple for you to drop that into the market. That is going to be really exciting this fall. We have some videos coming up for that.
Perfect. All right, Erin, what about Phoenix? What's Phoenix up to? And talk a little bit about, we're recording this the day after Hurricane Ian made landfall. So talk about what you're seeing on the equipment side and how much you're deploying and what restorers are needing. Talk a little bit to that too.
Yeah, well, we're doing everything we can to obviously provide the equipment needed. But honestly, for the last 2 years, we've been, and it's not just because of the supply chain issues, we have just seen a just massive surge in equipment orders. And so we're still, trying to catch up for the last 2 years. So, but believe me, we're hard at work. We're doing everything we can. We're trying to help out as best we can. There's trucks going out the door all the time. So that's kind of where that's at. In terms of future innovation, believe me, we are doubling down, if anything, on our efforts here. So next year, actually, we're beta testing right now, but the asset tracking is going to be phenomenal. I am so excited to show what we're doing with asset tracking. That'll be in Q1 of next year when we launch. Then we have the idea of managing by exception. So, this is using remote monitoring to manage, let's say you have a lot of jobs and you just want to surface things that you want to know about those jobs. Is my drying chamber out of a temperature range, a relative humidity range? There could be a lot. Has some equipment been turned off? Whatever the factors are that would prevent a job from proceeding as planned, we want to surface that. Then there's the idea of multi-location. So right now, you set up a Drylink company and it's one company, but we're going to have the idea of rolling up companies into, one master company with many locations. Then there's the idea of offline mode. We'll have offline mode. So right now we're dependent on internet access, whether that's cellular or Wi-Fi. And, sometimes that can be a challenge. So we're going to have our offline mode ready before next year's storm season. And then the idea of rental equipment. So how do you use Drylink when you have rental equipment? So these are all things that we are going to address in 2023 to bring the power of Drylink, to make sure it's not limited in any way as restorers want to use it. Now, I also want to just quickly touch on just the Phoenix equipment side. So we have something in development. It also involves our technology, but it's on the equipment side. I really can't go into details, but I'm super excited about it. And you're probably going to see that sometime Q2, probably towards the end of Q2, maybe starting Q3. Very exciting. So that's pretty much what we have. I wish I could say more there, but I really can't.
Hey, Michelle, I got to see their equipment tracking system at the experience, and I'll tell you, it is slick. They're really well thought out. We sat there and nerded out for half hour, 45 minutes. It looks really good. They've done a really good job on that.
Yeah, and I'd say the same about when I saw the floor plan system. I was wondering what they were going to show, but wow, it's really, really well done. So also exciting there.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I feel like you both just gave some good sneak peeks and whatnot what's coming. So bravo to both of your teams. I know that everyone's hard at work. And so thank you for all that you both do for the industry. Okay, anything else that we want to add before we wrap it up?
No, I just hope the guys and girls down in working the hurricanes just do what you do, be safe, and lots of action on Facebook, lots of people rolling down into Florida. So
lots.
Keep doing what you do.
Yes.
Absolutely. I concur.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.